Hey everybody, I'm Logan Camden.
I'm Carson Breber.
I'm Spencer Chiak.
And this is Nerd Sesh.
No! Oh my God! How could he do that?
Are you on drugs? What? Charles Darwin.
We are conducting our second interview with sports journalism students today. Today we are joined with my co-host on Bottom of the Sixth, the brilliant Ally Hansen. Ally, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for coming on, Ally. So our first question is, what is your favorite sport?
Definitely basketball, college, NBA. I'm all for it.
Who's your favorite player?
My favorite player is the shooting guard for the Utah Jazz, Donovan Mitchell. I watched him dunk on LeBron James when he was playing for the Cavs his rookie year, and I've never looked back.
And can you tell us a little bit about what your favorite sports moment is?
The 2018 playoffs between OKC and the Utah Jazz has a special place in my heart. It was the first series I was able to attend myself in person, and it was the loudest I've heard Vivint Smart Home Arena in my life. I've heard that it was comparable to when the Utah appeared in the finals in the late 90s. It was super intense. It was loud, exciting. There was lots of chants going on. People did not like Russell Westbrook. I'm not a fan of it either.
Yeah, that was a great series. I actually happen to have picked the Jazz before that series, so some have called me a visionary for it. So, Ally, what did you want to talk with us about today?
I want to talk about the Jazz and the expectations they have going into this season, now with Donovan Mitchell coming into his third year, the recent pickup of Mike Conley from the Grizzlies, and how they have an opportunity to go to the finals this year.
Now, we're going to touch on the Jazz in the first episode of Hoop Nerds. If you want to go back and listen to that, we discussed the Northwest Division and the projections for them. Please check that out. My expectations for the Utah Jazz, and we've talked about this outside of the studio as well, I don't like the defensive backcourt of Mike Conley and Donovan Mitchell, but again, as we touched on, I really love Rudy Gobert in the paint. He's a defensive rock, as well as Bojan Bogdanovic. I don't know how well he's going to be at power forward. He's not really a rebounder or defender. He is a tremendous wing shooter. What else do you guys got?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to like with the Utah Jazz this year. I have them as a 51-win team. I predicted they'd be the 4 seed in the West. I think Quinn Snyder is one of the best coaches in the league. You're talking about a team that over the past 2 years has been the best defense in the NBA. I do think there's going to be a slight drop-off in that regard this year. I disagree that it's going to be caused by the backcourt. However, I think Conley is still a really sturdy defensive point guard, and Donovan Mitchell has potential there. Right now, he's pretty average, but if he asserts himself more because he sees the winning opportunity, I think he could be above average. He has the physical tools. I think Joe Ingles and Bojan Bogdanovic, as I've said before, it's going to be a bit of a slow tandem in the front court, but a lot of turnover as far as role players with this team. Lost Ricky Rubio, Derek Favors, also lost Jay Crowder and Kyle Korver. So a different looking bench unit this team this year. I think there's a lot to like with this team.
If the Jazz really want to take the next step into this upcoming season, they're really going to have to change. When the game's close, they were 0-5 last year. When there was a difference of 1 point, a game comes to mind is that Golden State game when they were up by 10 and they still lost by 1. They were 5-10 overall in games decided by fewer than 5 points. They really want to take that next step. They're really going to have to win those close games.
So I've actually got a question for you, Ally. As a Jazz fan, there's been a lot of hype about Donovan Mitchell with regards to Team USA, as he's sort of been the guy there along with Kemba Walker. A lot of people are saying that he could spring into sort of the real upper echelon of NBA players this year, maybe become a top 10, 15 guy in the league. What do you think about that potential for Mitchell?
I think the expectations for Donovan going into the season are really high. With the recent pickup of Mike Conley, who is an extremely talented all-star point guard, he's going to be able to find Donovan a lot more than Ricky Rubio had been doing in the past. He has proven every year that he can get better. He's very coachable, and he's a team player.
I would like to go back. I don't mean to just utterly crap on the Jazz. I think they're going to be a very good team. And to touch on a few points you made, Mike Conley has never been an all-star in the West. That's really hard to believe with all that he's done for Memphis and now what he's going to do for Utah. My personal opinion on Mike Conley is I think he did hide behind that grit and grind Memphis team a little bit in 2013 with Tony Allen, Zach Randolph, Marc Gasol, guys like that. I just think he's a little undersized. I think the offense is going to be nice. With Ingles and Bogdanovic, you have wings shooting at all times on the court, and Gobert is not really a floor spacer. I really like Utah offensively, not a huge fan defensively, and I'm not the biggest fan of their bench after all the departures, as Carson mentioned.
And also, just to give Rudy Gobert a little bit of props on the offensive side of the ball, obviously Defensive Player of the Year the last 2 years, that is where he makes the big paycheck. But one of the best one of the best screeners in basketball offensively, a really good roll man, and a powerful finisher at the rim. But I would like to bring this back to the initial take that Ally brought in for us, which is that she thinks that the Jazz have the potential to make the NBA Finals. So, Ally, would you like to elaborate on that a little bit?
Absolutely. I think that if the Jazz are able to stay healthy this year, which they struggled with quite a bit in the past, that they've got a shot. They have several people on the court that can shoot from anywhere with Donovan, Conley, Ingles. They have a strong post presence with Rudy Gobert, who I think is more than capable to beat a team like the Lakers or even the Clippers, Denver, Golden State, especially Golden State now that they don't have KD this year as he was traded and he's out for the season. Clay's out for the majority of the season with an injury. So Golden State's not going to be as big of an issue as they have been in the past. And I don't think the Rockets are going to be as good as everybody thinks they are. I don't think that Westbrook and Harden are going to be able to play together because they're both takeover guys that have the ability to score the ball on their own. Westbrook is more of an assist man. James Harden doesn't know what an assist is most of the time. So I just don't see that being as scary of a team as people are thinking. I don't think the Clippers are going to be a Goliath team.
To touch on a few points, I think Houston is going to be a regular season squad. I think the Harden and Westbrook connection is going to win a lot of games in the regular season, and they probably will win one playoff series and get eliminated in the semifinals. I'm not as high on Houston. They're not going to win a title. For Utah, I think Utah could make it to the Western Conference Finals, but I do think the Clippers are going to be a Goliath. Paul George and Kawhi Leonard are a scary duo, and the rest of the team is solid. The Lakers as well could give them a run for their money. LeBron is, you can never count out LeBron. He's the best player in basketball, and the acquisition of Anthony Davis definitely makes the Lakers a little more interesting. I see Utah capping out in the Western Conference Finals. What do you got for me, Carson?
Yeah, to me, I think Utah is genuinely one of the strongest teams in the NBA, but to me, this ends with the Clippers. The Clippers you're talking about, not only do they now have by far the best defensive and offensive wing tandem in the league, they're still returning guys like Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell, who were probably two of the 5 best bench players in the league last year in a dynamic pick and roll offensive duo. And now that's like your second group offensively. So I just think that this team is deep, they're star-studded, and they're going to be really tough to beat. Super powerful offensively and defensively. Utah's got a lot going, but there's a certain level of star power that it can be really tough to match when you don't have like a top 10, 15 guy in the league.
So, Ally, I definitely want to hear this. How do you envision Utah taking down a team such as the Clippers?
The Jazz typically match up pretty well with Paul George. Actually, they hold him to under 20 points typically. With Rudy Gobert, he's just a strong post presence. He's a strong rebounder. I think he has the ability to take Paul George. Kawhi Leonard is an incredible player. Nobody has the ability to really stop him. But because the Jazz are able to slow down Paul George, not stop him necessarily, but slow him down, if the Jazz can shoot the ball well when they play the Clippers, then I could see it happening.
Let me say this. I think that this is going to be a slightly different task guarding Paul George just because you no longer have Jay Crowder, who was a great body to throw at him. You have Royce O'Neal off the bench, who you can tick up his minutes a little bit, but then you're sacrificing something offensively. To me, I do not want to put my money on Joe Ingles or Bojan Bogdanovic to consistently guard Paul George, who is, as we know, one of the best bucket getters in the league.
What about the Lakers? Do you find them to be at all a threat to the Jazz? Because I think Anthony Davis is going to tear it up when he goes and visits Salt Lake City.
I don't think LeBron and AD are going to be able to play together as well as everybody thinks, just because I think LeBron needs an outside shooter presence, and AD is absolutely not that. Also, I think it's going to be really cluttered on the floor just with 2 really big guys.
I kind of like the LeBron AD combo just because of the all-star presence. Now, like you said, I don't know if it's going to work. You saw the team with LeBron last year. He didn't have that second star. So is it going to matter is the question I think you have to ask. I do like some of the other acquisitions they made. Danny Green is that outside shooter, but I just don't think you can ever count out LeBron in any game of basketball.
Yeah, I'm actually a big fan of the Anthony Davis signing. Part of it is talent. I think also he's one of 4 or 5 players in the NBA that has the potential to actually be the number 1 guy over LeBron. You're talking about a guy that when he's been healthy has been like a 28-12 guy over the past couple years while also blocking, two shots a game. I mean, he's just absolutely absurd on both sides of the ball when he's fully devoted and wants to be. Bringing it back to the Jazz, though, I think I would take the Lakers over the Jazz in a series, but I do think it would be competitive. And I think that the Jazz are about as well equipped as anyone to throw throw people at Anthony Davis in particular. LeBron is another issue, but you have Rudy Gobert obviously patrolling the paint and a guy that can actually, obviously can't shut Anthony Davis down. No one can, but can give him fits. And then also off the bench, Ed Davis, not on that same tier, but a pretty good interior presence. And if you're looking at, bench guys, he's on the better side in the league.
So I pose a question for Carson and Ally. Who on this Jazz squad is going to stop LeBron in a series?
No one.
It's LeBron James. Nobody is going to stop him. I just think they're going to have to find somebody to counteract his points and his presence on the court. And I think that when Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert and pretty much the whole team, when they play well, they can beat anybody in the league.
I think for the Jazz to stop LeBron James, they're going to have to go out, resurrect the body of Joseph Smith, and hope it works.
A little bit of political humor there from Spencer, but to actually address, yes, religious politics, it's all the same. But to address the question that was asked, I don't think that the Jazz match up well with LeBron. I do think if you're going to throw anyone at him, it's going to have to be Royce O'Neal. He's really the only viable wing defender on this team. You can put Ingles on him for stretches, but that could seriously turn into trouble as far as just physically overpowering Ingles on the side of LeBron. So it's going to be tough.
I actually have to disagree with you a little bit on that. I think that Joe Ingles and Royce O'Neal as a combination to guard LeBron is really interesting because Royce O'Neal is really strong, super talented defender, but Joe Ingles has this ability to irritate the person he's defending. You can tell that they get extremely irritated when he's guarding them. They complain a lot more. They yell at the refs more, complaining on missed calls. It's obvious that they're upset.
Yeah, I do think that there's some merit to that point. And I also think that Ingles is a savvy defender as far as making plays on the ball. However, if there's anyone in the league that I would put my money on to not be bothered by Joe Ingles' antics, it would probably be LeBron James, a guy that has seen it all at every level. Everything has been thrown at him, and he's handled it all perfectly or as close to perfectly as you can. So I'm going to have to stick with LeBron on this one.
If LeBron can handle LeVar Ball, I think he can handle anyone.
Well, I'd like to thank you for joining us here, Ally.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Everybody, I have been Logan Camden.
I've been Carson Breber.
And I was Spencer Chiak.
This has been Nerd Sesh. Thank you for joining us. I implore you to follow us on Twitter @nerd_sesh and on Instagram @nerdsesh.